City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. Hello and welcome to City Spotlight. We've made it to the end of another season here on City Spotlight, 6 seasons of City Spotlight. 17 communities have been featured over the past 5 years of production. And to end season 6, we'll forego taping new episodes and practice social distancing during these tough times of the coronavirus pandemic. And we'll present to you 3 episodes on the best of season 6. We'll highlight 3 different communities in each of these 3 episodes that were featured here in season 6 of City Spotlight. In this episode, we'll look back at interviews from episodes featuring the communities of Decatur, Danville, and Oakland, with Dr. Patrick White of Millikan University in Decatur, Ricky Williams Jr., the mayor of Danville, and Tracy Montgomery of the Independence Pioneer Village in Oakland. Thank you for joining us here on City Spotlight as we wrap up season 6. We hope you enjoy part 1 of the best of season 6 of City Spotlight. Stay safe and thanks for watching.
One of the things that is exciting about Millikan is what we call performance learning, and that is that students, it's a little difficult to explain, but we have in all of our majors, we have strong majors in musical theater and in music and in nursing, but in all our majors, students perform. They connect to internships, to opportunities in the oft-talked about real world, but what is more important, they perform in their classes on campus. So it's not enough to know at Millikan, you have to be doing, and that it puts an interesting spin on how we think about our students and how we think about education. And this is from our founder, James Millikan, who wanted a special kind of university that would connect the practical to the theoretical, the artistic to the scientific. And we've followed in that tradition and made a part of our characteristic education, performance learning. And what is wonderful is that the students talk about that. They talk about, this is performance learning, President White, this is what we're doing, and they're very excited about that. And certainly when they go out, even before graduation, in summer internships and other experiences, they take that work ethic and they take that performance ethic with them. Because we are so committed to the arts, we are an unusual institution in that regard for one our size. In the rankings of musical theater programs, for example, we are competing with Michigan, with Carnegie Mellon, with NYU, with all kinds of other very large institutions. But we are a relatively small institution with hundreds of students studying theater. The School of Music has been legendary at Millikan for 40 years. I grew up in northern Illinois in the town of Dixon, Ronald Reagan's hometown. Ronnie and I had the same high school English teacher, different years. But you know, and when I was a kid, everybody knew about Millikan as a place to go to study music, and many of my friends, several of my friends from my high school went to Millikan to do that. So it's long been famous for music, and it continues to be famous for music, particularly vocal music. We have a program at Christmas time called Vespers, which every college in the universe practically has some sort of holiday festival. When I walked into our Vespers program, 1,900 people in Kirkland Auditorium. Wow. The place packed, sold out. 300 students performing.
That's a lot of bodies.
One of my friends said, how do they change the costumes so often? And we don't change costumes, we just have different students. Okay. Because he couldn't believe that there were 300 performers. Wow. And it's an amazingly choreographed program, and our university choir is our premier choir of our 4 choirs, and they travel all over the world singing. The School of Theater and Dance is amazing. For the last 20, 30 years, the School of Theater and Dance has been amazing. And what is extraordinary is that we have had a world-class School of Theater and Dance without world-class facilities. I think that's safe to say. Some of our main performing pieces are done in our very large Kirkland Auditorium, which seats 2,000 people.
Right.
But some are done on a stage that was in this building, Schilling, that was built over 100 years ago,
Yes.
and was never designed for a theater. So we don't have the backstage space and other kinds of things. Still, in all of these kinds of experiences,
Yes.
our students do amazing work. And what is so amazing is that they do creative, interesting, innovative, entrepreneurial work, which is a whole nother aspect of our performance learning. We want our students to be able to not only dance, sing, act, all the aspects of, or in my field, English literature, to know literature. We want them to be able to do that with confidence.
Right.
And when I see our students doing showcases or other kinds of audition experiences in New York or Chicago, and people tell them what is amazing about our students is that they are professional, they are clearly prepared for this. And I asked, a stupid question, I asked one of my colleagues, how do they do this? And she looked at me and she said, Pat, we teach that. It's a part of our experience from the get-go, including the fact that you are going to bomb in most of your auditions. You are not going to get the parts.
Right.
And our students have a resilience, a strength, and they perform within a larger world of culture and the arts that's extraordinary. They found theater companies, they do regional theater, and I have never met, in my experience as an educator, so many happy theater people. They're not worried about what they're going to do after college. They're taking stock of their opportunities, and they will make their own directions, and that's very, very exciting.
So we've already talked a little bit about the School of Music and your theater and dance legacy here at Millikin, and you have a new facility that obviously is, how can you not notice here on campus? Tell us about the new Center for Theater and Dance.
The Center for Theater and Dance is absolutely critical to the future of Millikin and to our excellence, because we have over 300 students studying theater and dance at Millikin in all the areas, but we've not had ever a dedicated space where all of these faculty and students can be together and work together in areas such as lighting, technology, sound, costuming. We have an enormous costume studio and lab there, so that these arts behind the scene will be trained as well as the arts above. And we'll also have a theater in this building, which is one of the things, when you have 300 students studying theater, you have to give them space to perform, and students have to have the opportunity so that because you can't do, one of the things about performance learning, you can't do acting theoretically. You have to be able to perform it, you have to be able to do it, you have to be in shows. We have, in any given year, we have scores of opportunities for our students to perform
Right.
at every level. The Center for Theater and Dance is a $29 million project, and we will finish that in the next year.
In such a short time span, you've had all this work done on these facilities, whether they've been completed, they're working, or moving forward. These are obviously not just transforming your institution, it's also transforming Decatur.
And we believe that very strongly. Millikin has over 400, almost 500 employees. We have a payroll of $21 million. We're, depending on how you count it, one of Decatur's larger employers. And so our economic impact, you add 2,000 students to the mix, our economic impact on the city is very important. People come to town
Right.
and engage in the arts from all over the country. We have many of our students from out of state are coming here for musical theater or music or the theater program. And those programs are growing. We have possibilities for them, and now we will have facilities. One of the things that's been so exciting over the last few years is that Millikin had been slow to build for a while. We were worrying about financials, and we still worry about finances.
Right.
Who doesn't in higher education?
Right.
But what we've done is we've become more courageous in thinking about the future and investing in Milliken for the future.
Hometown boy, born and raised. I graduated from Danville High School in 1996. I then went to and graduated from Milliken with a bachelor's degree in political science. Thought that I would be a lawyer, but instead ended up in graduate school studying public policy and urban development. So I was pursuing a PhD at Emory when I went on a trip to Africa, which changed my life.
Wow.
And long story short, I ended up back home within a year.
Wow. So some time away from Danville to kind of get your feet wet and figure out what you were doing.
That's correct.
What's it like to be mayor of your hometown?
It's amazing. It's actually very humbling. You know, it's interesting because this has kind of come full circle for me. I was on our first ever Vermilion County Youth Summit. I was the chairman of that, gosh, in 1995. And it was then that kind of that vision for being the mayor first was in my heart, placed in my heart. I knew that if being the mayor, you set the tone for the whole community.
Right.
And so I'm excited to be able to set the tone, because I feel like we're going to be able to lead Danville into great places.
Maybe I should have mentioned this a question or two ago. You stepped into the role of the mayor's position. Tell us kind of your journey of how, because you came into the acting as the former mayor resigned.
Sure. So I was a councilman for 9.5 years when our former mayor resigned, and the council elected me to be the acting mayor. And then I won outright election in April. And so I've been serving in this capacity either as acting or actual mayor for about seven or 8 months now.
Very good. Last question kind of about yourself before we dive into this community of Danville. How did all the journeys that you had outside of Danville, how did they help you here to what you're doing now in Danville?
Sure. Well, you know, when I left grad school, I actually became a residential missionary in Clarkston, Georgia, which is a refugee relocation center. And I ran helped start and ran a program for after-school program for refugee and American youth. And it was in a little 3-bedroom apartment. I had no budget, and I made a whopping $100 a month. So I kind of worked as a secretary to actually pay the bills. And just there, having to be able to work and to do a lot with little, I think kind of helped set the stage. Then I came home to be the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club, and then the CEO of Project Success. And those instances of being able to manage people and manage money well, I think set the stage for me to be able to be in this position and be successful.
Let's talk about the location of Danville. You're obviously located in Vermilion County. You don't get much more central Illinois than in Vermilion County. Danville is located in the heart. You're the largest city and the county seat.
That is correct.
And also you have a handful of roads that help lead folks to Danville. You have Interstate 74. You have a couple of U.S. routes, 136 and 150. So my question for you, Ricky, talk about the strengths of the location and the roads that you have here for Danville.
Sure. What I tell people, one of the things that I love the most about Danville is that, you know, you get that small hometown feel, but you have a lot of the amenities that you can have in other cities. We have good restaurants, good shopping, and things like that. However, if you need something a little more, you know, we're strategically located only 30 minutes east of Champaign-Urbana. Chicago is only 2 hours north of us.
Yes.
Indianapolis is only about an hour to the east, so we are very well positioned within the region.
Give us a broad overview of some of your employers here in Danville.
Sure. Well, we have a number of really large employers. The VA hospital is one of them, of course, which is right next door to Danville Area Community College. Those are two of our largest employers. OSF, the Order of St. Francis, our hospital system,
Right.
they employ a number of people. But some of the ones that are people don't know about, for example, are Automation International. They literally make the machines that allow people to make their products around the world. For example, you know, shoes. They make machines that help people make shoes in China. Watchfire Signs employs several hundred people now, and you may have heard of them recently because everyone's heard of Vegas, and Vegas is known for lights, right? Well, we actually are in the process of making all of the new signs for the Fremont experience in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
So all of those are now Watchfire Signs, made right here in Danville, Illinois, just a mile from this place.
Wow. You have health care, as you mentioned. Obviously, you have the Vermilion County Administrative Building with the courthouse. You also have the Danville School District, so you have a number of large employers here in Danville.
From government to education and medicine, manufacturing and warehousing, even agricultural in the northern and western parts of the community.
Yes.
I'm proud to say we offer it all and we do it all here in Danville.
Variety, for sure.
That's for sure. And that's something that I think helps keep our economy healthy.
Very good, very good. You also have higher education, as you just mentioned, here in Danville. You have
Yes.
Danville Area Community College on the east side of Danville. Tell us about Danville Area Community College and how that's an asset to Danville.
It's one of the things that I think we're most proud of here. Not only do they offer traditional associate's degree programs, but they also offer partnership with other universities so that you can actually get your bachelor's degree through attending DACC as well. In addition to that, I'm really proud they have a lot of adult education programs, such as GED programs, English as a second language. And the other thing that I'm really proud of that I think is somewhat unique is that we also do a lot of training for industry here, and preparing folks for that, especially probably 6 years ago now, wind farm technician program that I think is unique. I think we might be the only place in the state that offers it now, or if not, we're one of only a handful.
Let's talk about your parks in Danville. And one thing we've talked about here on City Spotlight is quality of life, things you can offer for the residents that live in and around the area. And you have, according to your Danville website, over 20 parks in the Danville area that are listed as pocket parks, neighborhood parks, community parks, and regional parks. Sounds like a strength to me.
Oh man, it's amazing. We have lots of recreational opportunities. In town, we have neighborhood parks. You can play tennis, basketball, softball. Those parks also host our recreational leagues. So for softball, baseball, basketball, football, it's pretty exciting. We have a huge soccer complex where we have hundreds of kids playing games every week. It's pretty amazing. And then, of course, we have Historic Lincoln Park, which houses a theater program. That's where our municipal band plays every week during the summer.
Wonderful.
We have just a lot of great opportunities in terms of park and recreation. But if you also want to go boating, we have a river dock in Ellsworth Park right here in the heart of city.
Right.
And also the state and county parks, Kickapoo and Kennecott County Park. Man, they're awesome. The Heron Boardwalk. Man, I could go on and on. If you want to see amazing wildlife, Heron Park is the place to go. Bald eagle's nest there, blue heron, you see otters. I saw wild swans. They just had cygnets for the first time recently there. You name it, and you can do it here in Danville and Vermilion County when it comes to outdoor recreation. The tennis center, I mean, man, we have lots of opportunities.
Lake Vermilion, what an outlet for folks there on the northwestern part of Danville.
That's fantastic. You see people boating there, and fishing. Fishing happens year-round. Really excited.
Awesome.
This next year, we're going to be installing a pedestrian walkway across Lake Vermilion, and that's going to create a lot of opportunities for people as well.
Thank you for tuning in to City Spotlight. You can check out past episodes, including the one you're watching right now, on YouTube. To check out recent episodes of Central Illinois towns featured on City Spotlight, search on YouTube, City Spotlight, with the show number and the name of the town. Listed on your screen are the last 5 episodes of City Spotlight.
At one point, my dad went to Tennessee. He worked for Young Radiator Company, and he went to Tennessee when the company transferred there. And he throughout the week would drive through the country, and he would find old log cabins. And so that's where he first had the idea that I could take one of those back to Oakland and set it up on my property, and it would give people an opportunity to have a place to go and just to spend some quiet time. And so he set out to do that, but discovered there were several that were available, and folks were kind of interested in selling them. So that's what started the whole process. And he has 28 acres here, and now we have 17 structures on this property for Independence Pioneer Village.
Tell us where we're at. We're just north of Oakland here, and this facility, or this place, all these structures have been kind of going 30 years, but give us a little history of where we are.
We are technically just north of the city limits. You wouldn't know that, but just about a
Right.
mile from here
Right.
is the Oakland city limits. But to be out here, when you first drive by, there have been folks who have driven past our entrance for years and never even
Me too.
they never even knew that it was here. And we have people from other states that come and spend the weekend here. But we have been at this location now for about 30 years. And it just seems like, I like that term, a million miles from Monday. It just seems when you step into this
the line.
place that it's a quiet environment, and it kind of takes you back in time to the 1800s. Oakland was actually called Independence in the very beginning, and there was another Independence in the state of Illinois. So during that whole process, that became Oakland, and the Postal Service came here. And at that point, there was a historian here, Helen Parkus, who suggested that if we had an actual village here, a log cabin village here, that it would be nice to name it Independence. And so that's how we arrived at that Independence Pioneer Village. We've had several things here throughout the years at the village. We have Civil War reenactments, encampments, we've had bluegrass and barbecue. We've had some weddings here,
Wow.
and we do a couple of programs as well that we'll mention, but as far as events, the newest event, we've had a mud run here in the past, and it was different than others in that here, in this setting, for a mud run, they go over the river and through the woods, so to speak. They run through there, they have to cross the creek, they can go under the covered wagon and jump over the hay bale and through the ditch, and so that makes it a little bit of a unique experience for mud runs. Our next one plans to be in the spring of 2020.
Very good.
But the most recent one that we have been doing is a primitive antique show. We had one last September, and there were almost 400 people that came through that time. And so from that, we went to this year in 2019, and we've had 2 already, and we are planning to schedule 2 more primitive antique shows. And they are amazing because it's such a good fit. I don't know why we didn't think of it sooner, but with the primitive antiques being in this setting, they just both come to life. The village does, the antiques, and it's a fun day, actually. It's not just a buying experience. It's not just a shopping experience. It is something that we have music in the village at the same time, and folks have come to shop but have stayed to visit.
When folks come to the antique show, whether I think you may or may not have mentioned already, tell us what they're going to experience or see at the antique show.
The folks that come in here are just wonderful to work with, and they have an appreciation not only for what they're providing for the public, but also an appreciation of what we have here. Sometimes people don't understand that even the windows that are in these cabins that are hundreds of years old cannot be replaced. And so when people have an appreciation, whether it's for the music or the buildings or just that time period, it is a good fit for us to come together on those occasions. So it was so much fun for us. We had a beautiful day last fall in order for them to come and shop and go through each one of the cabins. There are, as I said, 17 structures here, and every corner that we could fill actually had primitive antiques in it that were for sale.
So you filled up the 28 acres pretty
Yes.
well.
I believe there were 25 vendors at
wow.
that time too.
It's a pretty good ratio of vendor to acre there.
Yes, so even if they're not in a cabin, they were throughout the village as well, and it was the village was just, it kind of came to life.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Back on August the 15th and 16th in 1894, they had what's called Old Settlers Meeting. And they wanted to honor the pioneers that had come here and settled this area for Coles, Edgar, and Douglas counties. And so it was kind of before all of the events for festivals would come, the Cheese Festival, the Broomcorn Festival, the Honeybee Festival. It was even prior to some of those. And at that time, they built a cabin for the oldest settlers that came back for that. And this booklet tells us, this was an actual program, and it tells us about all the food that they prepared and how they dug a pit and 300-foot-long tables. And there were over 20,000 people that came. And it was held just north of Oakland. Again, we're just a mile away from the city limits, but this was held just north of Oakland, down along the creek. And it was amazing. It's an amazing story just to read it.
My math is correct on the spot. That's 125 years ago. What a great piece of history you're holding there.
It is, and we are excited. We're not going to expect 20,000 folks and feed that many for this year, but we do want to just kind of commemorate that and see maybe where that goes for the future. We do want to have maybe cornbread and beans on that day, and some music and living history here in the village that day.
Fantastic. Also, tell us a little about a unique program kind of geared toward the youth called Unplugged.
Yes, we have these events that are scheduled, but we have a couple of programs that we like to do. One is called Unplugged. The other one is Visions of the Past, and they kind of do the same thing, but on different age ends of the spectrum. The Unplugged program is geared toward middle school, junior high for the most part, and early high school. The groups that we've had come in have been 8th grade students. And so they will come to the village, and for 3 or 4 hours, they put their phones away, and they'll experience cutting with a 2-man saw, and that block of wood that they have, they will wood burn their initials in that, and they get to keep that. Then we go to an open fire, and with cast iron, they'll make fried pies. And then they'll go to a cabin where they will get some experience in sewing. And from there, they go to a station where they have old-fashioned games like town ball, which I don't know if you're familiar with town ball or not. It's much like a baseball game, but they go the opposite direction with a large ball, and it can be played by any age. There's a game of graces that is from that period as well that was a little bit more graceful for the girls to play and not just a boys' game necessarily that they would think at that time. After they've been here for a while, then when they leave, every time we've heard someone say, I didn't realize I could have so much fun without my cell phone.
Wow.
So that's been kind of exciting for us to do. And then on the opposite end of that, the seniors program, Visions of the Past, we have senior groups come in and they sit on the porch of the general store, and then we do things that they can watch from there throughout the village that goes kind of down through the years. And one time we did one of those, and I happened to be sitting by a gal that used to, I believe she was a one-room school teacher at one time. And when she saw the kids come out of the schoolhouse, she wasn't really talking to me, but she said, okay, her dress is just above her ankle, so that must have been in the, she was calculating in her mind that period of time that they were trying to portray. So it was just a lot of fun, because when I have an opinion about when you say your grandparents or 1800s, everybody has their own idea of what that looks like. And so when they are here and we are kind of stirring up some of those memories, their own personal memory comes back to life. And so it's an amazing experience.
City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.